did a video about a year and a half ago, showing Jezero Crater, this area, with all the structures on the ground, okay? And I did a whole series of Jezero Crater videos. I did about 4 or 5 in a row before the rover landed, showing the city in this area, right? And what I've done today, I'll get rid of this, is I've mapped some of it out for you. Now, this is just north of where the rover is now. Now, the rover, if this map was to go a bit further over, this image, the rover would be down here where my cursor is, okay? This is the delta area here, and the rover's just here. So that's where we are now. Now, if you look at this here, you can see a big square there, right? See that big square? You can actually see it on this map. And there's another sort of rectangle here. Huge, right? Now, this is where I'm going to show you. This is where all the main structures are, here, right? And the rover is right down here. So this is the bit I'm showing you up here. This is insane, and I have shown this before, and 1 or 2 other channels have shown it before, including John Ward's channel, and also Chris at Mars Anomalies channel. Have both shown this area, and we've all spoken about it, and all kind of agree what we're looking at here is a city with irrigation channels or roads or whatever you want to call them, joining up a lot of these structures. Now, what I've done today, I've spent a bit of time on this, just in this area, because the crater is so big, it would take me all day, or it'd probably take me a week to map out the whole thing. But what I've done is just this sector. So this is the north sector of the Jezero city, right, or the remains of it. And what we have are a whole bunch of channels which I've marked. And interestingly, these channels, or canals, or channels, or roads, whatever you want to call them, a lot of them are just cracks in the ground. I'm sure of that. And I'm sure that's what NASA would call them. They would just say, oh, these are just cracks in the lake bed crust. And I'm sure a lot of them are, but a lot of these are built up and have walls either side, like a canal or something, or a road, a raised road with walls either side. They look more like canals to me, okay? And what you can do, if you want to turn these off, you just go to here, and then there, and then click on that, and you can turn them off. But I'll leave them on for now, because what this does, this demonstrates that these are not all natural. Why? Because this is that main squarish building that I showed you. You've got the main square of it here, and another part to it here, right? This is really large. Let's see how big that is. It's about 50 meters across. It's not huge, but it's the size of a church or a small cathedral or something like that. It's pretty big, right? There are dozens and dozens here, probably hundreds, in fact, of smaller rectangular structures buried in the ground, and you can actually see the outlines of them if you look carefully, or if you take a clip of this and then darken it up. I've realised that this is the structure that we've shown before. Me and those other 2 channels have shown before, and some of these around here we've shown before, but then I thought, what would happen if I follow some of these channels? Because this one here, you follow this one, goes to here, then it goes to here, there's a building here, goes round that, and then it goes right through the corner of this structure here. So there's a structure there, then it carries on to here, up to here, goes through that crater or whatever that is, keeps on going, up to another rectangular structure. Then it goes out of there, and it comes out of there to here, and then up here, you can follow it along to another rectangular structure here, right? And that goes across here. Now, of course, there are loads of more parts joining these channels, canals, channels, whatever you want to call them, right? That actually goes up to there, and there's loads of joins and junctions on this up here, right? But if you follow it down to here, it goes to here, and then it goes to another rectangular structure, right? And this rectangular structure is on the end of this island with this huge mound, which looks artificial. If you look really carefully, this mound isn't oval. See a straight edge there, 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 and there. It's like a big earth kind of dolmen type mound, okay? A bit like Silbury Hill or something like that. And I have shown similar ones in Jezero Crater. And some of them are perfectly symmetrical, okay? And that's quite stunning looking. I did a video on one about a week and a half ago, so go back and check that out. It's really stunning, okay? But this one's bigger, and it's like an island with a rectangular structure here. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove this load of stuff here for you, and you can actually follow these yourself. You can see the rectangular structure there. It's actually a bit more complex than a rectangular structure. It's a rectangle here, but with smaller rooms inside it here, right? And that channel comes out, and you can follow it round up here, and it joins up here, and over here, and they all join up, and they all sort of join up to these structures here, these buried rectangles here. There's one there. Let's put that back on. Just there, see? Follow that rectangle, the black rectangle, and I'll get rid of that. There it is, right? Then that joins to these down here, right? There's one here. There's another one here. There are dozens and dozens of them in this area. I've only pointed out the clearer ones. I'm sure there are dozens more. Once you darken this up, loads will pop out. This is just looking at it as the satellite sees it, without enhancing the image or adding any shadow or anything like that, okay? This is as it comes from NASA, right? This hasn't been enhanced in any way, this image. This is as it comes from the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, otherwise known as the high-rise camera on the MRO, okay? And you can see all these channels, but this one was the main one. Now, what are these channels? Are they irrigation channels? Pipes of some sort? Stone pipes, like you would get in ancient Greece or Rome? I have shown in previous videos not long ago, only a few weeks ago, I did a video on some rooms with chambers, and it has what seems to be a hypercaust. Now, a hypercaust is basically a central heating system for your house, where you would have like a underfloor heating. So the house would be built on top of foundations with loads of little columns underneath, holding the floor up. And then you would have like a hypercaust. You'd have an oven, or a furnace, or oven, whatever you want to call it. You shovel your coal or wood in the oven, and the heat would come out of the oven through channels under the building, and heat it up from underneath, like underfloor heating. It's called a hypercaust, right? Now, I don't think that's what this is. I think these are water pipes, or sewage pipes, or a bit of both, right? Because this one's got two joining it. This one here goes off in this direction, and in fact, if you follow it, it all goes off right over to the right here, goes up here, up to here, right? And then the other one, this one here, goes north and then joins up to this other structure here, and then this other structure here. So what could that be? Could it be water? Could it be sewage? Possibly, I think. And this one here, you can see that they actually go through the corner of the building, as if there'd be like pipes inside the building, and this could be like a sewage pipe, an outflow, sewage outflow pipes, because they're all linked up. And why would these link up if these were just natural cracks in the clay, dried out sedimentary clays? Why would they do that? Why would we have... So if you're from NASA or from JPL, I know some of you are, could you please explain to me why we have rectangular buildings, and this is the clearest one, it's the largest, one of the largest, and one of the clearest here. Could you please explain to me why we have rectangular structures in the ground that have channels joining them up. Here, 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 and right over here, and here. And in fact, some of these, if you follow them, they go round and join to this main one here, right? And they go right down to here. And if you look where we are now with the rover down here, if you zoom into this, you will find that that channel that I just pointed out comes from up here, right? Let's follow it. Let's go full screen. Let's see if we can find it and then follow it from here, right? That's the main building there. And these channels, you can follow them all the way down. They come all the way down here. They go round this crater, if that is a crater, probably is. They go round it and they come all the way down here and join up here. And they keep going down and down and down and across. And they come all the way over, when you follow them, to where the rover is. The rover is driven right across some of these irrigation channels. And there's one here. There's a main one there, look. Another one here. Now, of course, some of these are probably just cracks in the ground. But are they? Are we seeing a mixture of both? Are we seeing irrigation channels or canals or whatever you want to call them, sewage system or a irrigation system? Are we seeing an irrigation system and also cracks in the ground as well? Because some of these smaller ones seem to be cracks, but a lot of these larger ones are actually raised, and you can see one here. You can see a raised one here, right? And you can follow it. It joins up to this one, and they all join up. There's a long straight one there with loads of joining ones here. They all join up. This looks like a huge irrigation system. Now, I have shown this before, but what I thought I'd do this time is actually try and link it up with where the rover is with this map here, because where we're starting is up here and the rover's right down here, which is a good 2 or 3 miles or so north of where the rover is, northeast. So this gives you a kind of overview of what we've seen or where the rover's been, and I've covered most of this stuff by the Perseverance rover, and I've shown loads and loads of structures on the ground, in the ground, not only from above but from the rover and also from the Ingenuity helicopter drone. So we've got satellite, we have helicopter, and we have ground images. That's 3 different perspectives of the same things on the ground. And I've shown these channels on the ground as well. Okay, you can actually see them on the ground, and some of them are quite spectacular. It's all ruined, of course, but these all join up, and they all end up going right up to the north, like I just showed you, where we have these huge structures. And I think this one goes off over this boundary here. There's like a boundary, and it carries on into this area. Then I started looking further over, because we got a big structure here, right? This here. You can actually see this on the ground. Let's go back a little bit. If I remove this, you can see that. If I remove that, you can see a rectangle with another rectangle there. That is a ruined structure, a very large one, about the size of that larger one further over to the right. Okay, so there's one there. You can actually see the edges of it there, and you can see broken down walls and stuff and masonry on the ground. That's how good the detail is in this image, right? So there's one there. There's another large structure here, right, which is much further north of those. So these pipes in the ground, or canals or channels, actually join up here. You can see that it's buried in sand. It goes down here to here, right? But it's all buried. So that it kind of stops dead, as this one does. So these may both join to this. So one of those may be a water pipe, and one of them may be a sewage pipe or channel. Okay? Right? There it is. I'll turn that back off. So you can see the shape of it. You can actually see that large rectangle there in the middle, but there's a sort of edge to it there coming up. And of course this is all buried, so this may actually be way bigger and may stretch right out under this sand here. But you can see a long rectangular shape there, but it's actually more complex than that, and there seems to be individual rooms here as well on the side of it, but they're all kind of buried in sand, right? And there's another one here, which is also past this boundary here, perfectly square, this one, right? This one here. Let me get rid of that, and you'll see it just there. It's just a dark square shadow, like a depression in the ground. There's another one here, there's another one here. They're all over this area. If I was to darken this image, which I've done before, I'll drag up some of those images and put them in at the end. I'll take some clips as well, some new clips, and I'll really darken this up, and you'll see hundreds of these squares in the ground, squares and rectangles. And some of them are like this. They're not perfectly square. They're they've got right angles, but they've got more complex shapes, like this one here and this one here, right? So you can actually follow, you can start at the main building here and you can follow these. If I turn those off, you can actually follow these channels which take you to the other buildings, right? Up here. You can follow them up to here, and they will take you to these rectangular depressions in the ground, which are buried, dilapidated ruins of structures, okay? And there's loads more here which I haven't pointed out. So this is a bit of a sort of join the dots kind of episode, really. And I've only pointed out some of these channels here. There are loads more here. You can see them quite clearly, right? You can see these channels. So this is very much like the Citadel area, which I showed as well, which the Rover drove right up to and around. And this is huge. I mean, this is, well, it's 50 metres wide and about 100 metres long, this one. And this one, I think, is also a structure inside a crater here. Because if I get rid of that, you've just got to look at the way the shadows lie and the way that the dunes form on the ground, right? You can see a perfectly straight line there. You can see a rectangle there. You can see one there, a square, and a dark rectangular shadow coming right across. So in fact, it's more complex than I've done there. There's actually a rectangle there next to it. And if I get rid of that, you can see one in the ground. Look really carefully just here. I'll use the magnifier. Just there, and there's a square just there. We've got a long dune which marks probably a wall or roof or something. But you can actually see a perfect rectangle there, including that line there where the dunes formed. But we've got a rectangle here, we've got a small one there, we've got a square, and this comes round. So what I would probably do is draw a more complex thing there, like it's not just one rectangle, it's a whole set of rectangles here, right? Let's change the colour of that to black. I won't put anything in there, it's pretty obvious what it is. Let's just straighten that out a bit. It actually comes to there. So these are dilapidated structures in the ground, and what we're seeing are the remnants or the foundations that are left in the ground. And because sand is semi-transparent, like we have here, we can actually see these pretty clearly, right? Because we're looking down from space, from about 200 kilometers up or 150 or something, and the radiation or ultraviolet radiation is bouncing off the structures under the surface, and we're getting these outlines and shadows and shapes in the ground. That's how it works. Often when doing archaeology, archaeologists will go up in a glider or a light aircraft or a helicopter, or use drones to look from above, from a height, and you can see things in the ground that are often buried under mud or sand, even quite thick mud that's 10 or 15 feet deep. You can see on a bright day, the sun will reflect off hard objects under the surface. But this is especially true with sand, because sand is not a solid. It's a semi kind of, it's only semi-solid really. okay, is actually more like a liquid. And you can actually see those rectangles within rectangles. So, I mean, there's loads down here. There's one here as well. And these all join up, incidentally, as well. These channels link all of these. There's a weird one here. And there's another one over here, further out. And if you follow the channels, they all link up. So this looks like an irrigation or water system and sewage system. That's what we have, right? That's what we have here. And all the main principal buildings, the larger ones that I pointed out. I mean, if I was to point out all the ones this size, there would probably be hundreds and hundreds here, right? Literally hundreds, just in this area. But I'm not going to do that because that would just clutter it. I may add a few more larger ones. There's some here in this area, and there's loads up here, right? And some up here as well, but they're not as obvious. I've just pointed out the larger, more obvious ones for you to check out. And you can see that these channels, there's a channel going off here. This one comes along here and probably joins to this one. It goes off limits here. There's like a boundary there, but it carries on. There's another channel there, which probably joins to that, right? And this one probably joins to this one, this complex here. So once you start doing this, you can actually see how this city or outskirts of the Jezero city northwest was actually constructed and how it worked. We're looking at irrigation, we're looking at sewage pipes, and we're looking at actual channels which are now kind of broken and exposed and broken down, but these would have been more like stone pipes. Okay, a lot of these stone pipes, irrigation channels, right? And water, drinking water and sewage water probably would have come out of this because I've marked one in red here and one in blue. So one's going out and one's coming in. So we've got fresh water coming in and dirty water going out. That's what it seems like, okay? And I'm pretty sure these larger structures all have got at least two main pipes coming in or out, which means we've got inflow and outflow, fresh water and dirty water, okay? And we have these little islands with structures on them, with internal ones as well. If you look closely at this one, you can actually see there are internal ones in there as well, like a little internal square one there in the middle, and smaller rooms, okay? So they're not just outline structures, they've got internal rooms. And they're all linked, all the main ones are at least, linked up with these channels, which are fresh water and sewage. That's what it is, right? Check out the links in the description. As always, there'll be linked to this and this main gigapan here. There'll be a few more links as well to some of the other gigapans in this area, which stretch further over to where the Rover is as well, that go further over this way. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please like and subscribe, smash that like button, and I will see you soon.